Hey guys! So for today's project, I'm going to be making a really easy, beginner-friendly teacher appreciation gift. And I'm going to be adding some personalization to these two items that I found at Target in the dollar section, also known as Bullseye's Playground. If you need some help figuring out if your Target has these in stock or if a local Target nearby you may have these in stock, I will leave some directions down in the description box with a locator website that you may be able to use to find these. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, this is a really easy project for beginners. So the project I'm going to be working on specifically today is the pencil, and I'm going to be adding a name for personalization. And I'm going to be using a font called Beechwood, which is actually a duo font. So one of the fonts is in a script and the other font is a sans serif font. So to start off, I'm going to do the miss of the name in the sans serif font. So I'm going to click on my text tool and just type MS and then period. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to change the font here to Beechwood, but I'm going to change it to the sans version of the font. And I'm going to move this up here for the time being. I know that I'm going to move this period over just a little bit, but I'm not going to work on that right now. And then next I'm going to work on my name. So I'm going to click on the text tool again. I'm going to type the name of the person this is for, which is Brown. It's for Miss Brown. And I'm going to go ahead, back up to that font menu, and I'm going to change it to the script version of the font. Now the letters don't touch automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and right click this, and then I'm going to go to ungroup. So that way I can move each of the letters independently. So I'm just going to grab each one so that they're touching. Sometimes I'm very particular about where the letters land, and sometimes I'm not. So today I'm not too particular about where exactly they land. So once they're all touching and it looks pretty good, I'm going to go ahead and draw a box around the entire thing. Right click and then go down to weld so that it turns into one piece. So now I have my name all done. And for the miss, I'm actually going to turn this on its side because I have a limited amount of space. But before I do that, I'm going to right click and ungroup it just so I can move this period in a little bit because it seems very far off. And also too, I'm going to be rotating this design on its side, so I want to maximize the space. So once that's moved over, and I just used my arrow keys on my keyboard, I'm going to draw a box around it again. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say group. And then I'm actually wanting this to be on its side. So I want this to fall basically to the left. So I'm going to go up to the rotate option and take out 0 and change it to 270 degrees. Just think of a circle. So I'm spinning it around and it's going to turn on its side. And now I can move this up against the B. And then I can space this out in a way so that you can tell this is Miss and this says Brown, but I want it close enough so it doesn't take up a ton of space on my final design. So that looks pretty good. Now, in terms of figuring out how big to cut something, the method that I like to use is the square method. And essentially, I just take a ruler and I measure how big the space is that I want my design to occupy, and I just fill that space. So I know with this particular design that I've measured the inside, and it's a roughly 5.25 inches by 2.5 inches in height. And I don't think I'll be able to get the height, but I definitely can get the length. So I'm going to go ahead and stretch this out so that it is roughly 5.25 inches wide. And it can be a little over, but that's roughly where I want it. And then I'm going to draw a box around the whole design again, right click, and then I'm going to click attach because I'm going to be cutting this out and I don't want it to separate it. I want it to cut it out exactly the way that it appears on the screen. So now I'm ready to click on make it and send this to the Cricut to cut out. Here I have my design cut out and I'm just going to go through the process of weeding, which is basically removing all of the parts of the design I don't need. For the main part of the design, I can pull away the excess vinyl by hand, but for the interior parts of the B and the O and the R, where there is a loop at the top left-hand corner, I'll have to use a small pick tool. To get the design off of the backer sheet, I'm using a piece of transfer tape, which is a low tack tape that comes either in sheets or on a roll. And to get it to lift off, I'm just using some heat from my fingers and a little bit of friction so that it transfers to the backer tape. And I did my best to align the bottom of the design with the red line on the actual transfer tape to get it straight. And when I'm happy where it is on the actual pencil here, I'm just going to press it down and transfer it off of the transfer sheet and onto my project. Once I've gone over each of the letters, I'm going to remove the transfer tape, and that's it. Here's a look at the final product. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.